Just his consistency, decision making, which we asked for at every position. But he played really well in camp. And I think just being in our program for 2 years, because last year he was a true freshman, helped tremendously. And he's been taking a lot more reps because he has became the number 2 guy. And I thought he did a good job when he got in the game on Saturday.
A couple guys yesterday were talking about his demeanor, maturity, presence in the huddle. What have you seen from him in those areas?
Very, very calm and collected poise. Quarterback, we throw a lot at that position, and we ask a lot. And he's very cerebral and takes things in. And if he makes a mistake, he's able to shrug it off. And I think our guys very positive. So I think our guys respond to that and look to him just like they do to Adrian as a leader as well.
In the middle of from the sort of beginning of the second quarter to the end of the third on Saturday, you really threw the ball down the field quite a bit. What did you make of that, and how big of a role does protection and the way your offensive line sort of settled in play into your ability?
Yeah, well, good question. So throwing the ball down the field is everybody. It's the offensive line protecting. It could be the running back protecting. It could be, they obviously see the quarterback and the receivers getting open. That's a big part of it. But also could be what the defense is doing. We thought there were some things that they were doing where we could throw the ball down the field based on their coverages, but you still got to execute it. And I was really proud of how our offensive line improved in pass protection. We got a big challenge again this week and every week coming up, but there was a lot of improvement there. And we focused on that. We really focused on practice, on pass protection, on different blitzes, and just getting our guys better in that area. And then you still got to complete the pass. So I thought Adrian did a good job standing in there and being poised, making some very accurate throws. And then I thought the receivers did a good job too, getting open.
Who have been your best blockers on the perimeter so far?
Well, our tight ends always do a good job on the perimeter and we play those guys as receivers. I thought this week we took a step up in perimeter blocking from a receiver standpoint. Still got a ways to go. Just not consistent as we'd like it to be. But Omar Manning showed flashes. Wyatt showed flashes. He's probably one of our better blockers. Samari, we're asking him to do some things that he didn't have to do in his previous program, and he's kind of just learning something. So sometimes it's not just blocking, but knowing who to block. And so he's getting better at it every day. So I think they all, had their moments, but we can be better.
Matt, what kind of shared traits do you see in the guys who are new to the program and are doing well on offense, like Oliver in the first game, Samari, Chancellor, Marquise? Are there things that those guys have in common that have allowed them to have early success?
Yeah, I mean, they're all football savvy guys and pick things up well, but they're all very humble. They listen. That's the whole thing as a coach. You want guys that are coachable, that'll listen. We really try to emphasize part of the learning process is making mistakes when you're a new guy, and we expect them to make mistakes. So you can't get down on yourself. That's how you learn. And they have really good attitudes towards that. That's dealing with adversity, which they've all had to do. I think in football, it's as part of the game is things aren't always going to go your way, and you're not always going to do the right thing. You're not going to be as comfortable if you're learning something new. And so just getting out of your comfort zone, making a mistake, but learning from it and moving on. I think they've all done a good job of that.
Are you able to learn as much about those guys or vet them as well when they come through the portal as opposed to all of the time that you invest in a high school recruit?
Yeah, it's hard. Every situation is different. So the portal, a high school guy, hopefully you've developed a long relationship with. You've seen him practice. You spent time with him on the phone. You've talked to his coaches. You kind of know how he's going to respond to coaching, and you should have a really good feel for the guy. The transfer portal, yeah, you get less information. A lot of times the transfer portal, you got to do some still investigative work like recruiting, but it's not as extended as period. Because transfer portal, sometimes you got to make quick decisions. Guys are on there and they're leaving. We were very fortunate with Samori because relationship with his former college coach where he was really good. It was easy to see he was really good on tape. But I felt great about his character and on all the intangibles that you don't see on tape after talking to their coaches.
What was the genesis of that triple option that you started to develop with Samori and maybe in a belt? Scott Frost said he doesn't know how much it's going to be part of your offense in the future, but he likes it a little bit. What did you guys decide to develop it, and who came up with the idea?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination. It's always been in our offense. We're using a little bit more. I mean, we used it back in the Oregon days. What it lets you do is it lets you get the ball on the perimeter with skill guys, and you're always reading a defender too. So it kind of is based on what the defense does too. Because sometimes it's based on what the defense is doing. It might look like it's option, but the ball is getting hand off. So we incorporate a lot of reads in our offense, and so that's just one more play with another read. So it's not expensive. When I say expensive, it's easy for our guys. You know, it might look a little complicated to a defense, but it's very easy. It's just, you know, it's running inside zone with sometimes, you know, some window dressing. So it's that part's easy, but it also does, based on what the defense gives you, can give you an opportunity to get the ball in space in the perimeter, which we always like to do that. You know, make them defend the whole field.
It feels like Adrian's pretty comfortable running that triple option when he's good at timing the pitch. If he found that plays a little bit more effective the way that you're designing it than maybe some of his design throws in recent years.
Sure. Well, great point. I mean, to run some of that stuff on the perimeter, you got to have a quarterback that can run, and you've got to work a ton on ball mechanics, because that's not easy. I mean, we haven't put a ball on the ground, knock on wood, from a pitch standpoint, because we spent a lot of time addressing that, and we work that every day in our drill. So he's done a really good job of that. I think our guys figuring out the pitch relationship have done a pretty good job of that. You also got to have some courage as a quarterback, because the key of pitching it sometimes is when to do it and holding on to the last second when you know you're going to take a big shot, but still having the courage to take that shot and pitch it out there. And he does a good job. And you got to make good decisions, because there's sometimes it's a split-second decision, and we try to put guys in those situations where, did he tell you to pitch it or did he not tell you to pitch it? Well, you have to do that over and over again to do that.
Samari played a couple different positions at Montana, but did you talk to him about whether he'd ever played as the pitchman in that? Because it looks like...
No, we were joking around with him. We're going to have to move you in the running back room. Now you're carrying the ball. But he's adjusted well. All our receivers can do that. You know, it's kind of built into our system. So, again, it wasn't that hard or expensive, but it was cool to see, again, getting a good player in space. And you kind of look at it like quick passing game. I mean, even though it's a pitch, it's the same thing as throwing the bubbles. It's the same thing as throwing just a quick pass. It's just getting a guy in space that can hopefully make somebody miss.
Where are you at with Adrian, your comfort level on some of the more sidearm stuff that he's done when he's getting out of the pocket? He looks comfortable doing that. Do you coach him to do that?
If it works, we like it. It's one of those things. He's done a really good job. I think as a part of being a great quarterback is every once in a while you have to make unorthodox throws based on what's happening on the defense, and you have to be able to throw on the move. Our quarterback coach does a great job of trying to rehearse that stuff, but he does a lot of that stuff very natural too, very natural.
Alante Brown was a guy that was at the press conference yesterday. I was wondering with him and also Will Dixon as a couple sort of young guys, where their progression's at, where are they at right now?
Yeah, I mean, they're both improving. You know, I think in this last game we played, you guys probably know better than me, 7 to 8 guys, which was good. The more guys we play, the better. And they're both doing a good job. The good thing with us is we're getting more competition, especially than we had last year. And so that, you know, the cream rises to the top, and the guys that are most consistent are going to play the most. They're progressing, but so are other guys as well. And so, you know, like we all do, we got to keep improving.
With Wyatt, he's come close now to making a couple of big plays, the ball in the end zone against Illinois and the deep one early yesterday. When you look at that, is there more he could have done on either of those, or are those just close misses before the ball was too?
Yeah, the first play, the Illinois play, I thought we kind of missed him. You know, I know Adrian wishes he could have that one back. The play before, or the play this last game, I know exactly what you're talking about, where he got by the corner. He kind of misjudged that, and he slowed down a step. I thought Adrian threw a really good ball, and so we got to keep our speed, and so there's always a give and take there. Like the first game, I think we just missed him. The second game, he's got to keep his speed, and that might have been a touchdown.
What worries you about Buffalo?
I mean, a lot of things. They're good. I mean, they were a top 20 team last year. Defensively, you know, they dominated their first opponent. They've got guys that can rush the passer. They tackle really well. They haven't really given up. And, you know, it's interesting, too. It's kind of like last year where it's all new coaches, so it's a different scheme than they ran last year. But the guys executed it as good as they could possibly execute it as a defense that first game. And so we got our work cut out for us from a pass rush standpoint, because they know how to put pressure on the quarterback. They covered well, and you know, it was the other team really struggled to even get a first down against those guys. I mean, it's going to be a really good test. And they have a lot of guys returning. You know, I know on both sides of the ball. And as a top 20 team, when you got most of your guys coming back, you should be pretty good. And I think their coaching staff has done a great job of keeping it simple and letting those guys play.
Is Marquis Sept really starting to maybe separate himself a little bit more from the rest of the running backs? Are you still looking to rotate guys in?
We're still going to rotate. I thought you can make an argument that he might have ran the hardest in this last game. I've been really happy with, just his improvement. Because part of his improvement, even though he's an experienced guy and he played at a good school before he got here, you still got to know the offense. You still got to know all the different footwork that we asked him to do that was different from what he did at USC. But the one thing he does when the ball's in his hand, he runs hard and he runs downhill, which we need.
Hey, Austin Allen kind of got involved a little bit more in the passing game last week. What have been the challenges of being able to continuously keep him involved in that passing game?
Well, yeah, we always want to get him the ball as well as our top playmakers. A lot of it's sometimes what the defense is doing, and there were some things there in the passing game where we thought they gave us some matchups where we could get him the ball. A lot of our passing game is progression based. What that means is based on what the quarterback's going to start somewhere. If that guy's open, he's throwing it to him. Could be Austin, could be whoever. If that guy's not open, he moves on to the next guy. And so based on what the defense does, it kind of dictates where the ball is going to go. And it makes it easy for the quarterback. He doesn't have to read coverages and he can make quick decisions. So there's a whole bunch of things that go into that. But to your point, every week we think, hey, how are we going to get this guy the ball? How are we going to get this guy the ball? How are we going to get this guy the ball? And not just get him the ball, but get him the ball in situations that they excel at. Like Austin does a lot of good things, so it's easy to find situations to get him the ball.